Right now, your brain is probably fighting you. Notifications ping, thoughts scatter, another tab opens, and 2 hours disappear without a single meaningful thing getting done. You know you're capable of more, of real deep work that moves the needle on your goals, but your attention feels broken. The truth is, focus isn't a gift some people have and others don't. It's a skill you can force your brain to develop. And once you do, the results are life-changing. 4 to 5 hours of high-quality output in what used to take 10, deeper mastery in your craft, less stress, more real progress. This full audiobook dives straight into Cal Newport's deep work, the most practical, evidence-based system ever created for reclaiming your attention in a distracted world. You'll learn why shallow work is silently killing your potential, the 4 deep work philosophies, and which one fits your life, how to build rituals that make focus automatic, even when motivation is zero, the exact environments, schedules, and rules that elite performers use, how to drain the shallows so deep work becomes your default. If you're tired of ending days feeling busy but accomplishing nothing, and you're ready to force your brain into the kind of focus that creates real results, stay with me. This isn't fluffy productivity advice. This is the hard system that separates people who dream from people who deliver. Chapter 1. The Deep Work Hypothesis. Why focus is the new superpower in the knowledge economy. Welcome to Chapter 1 of How to Force Your Brain to Focus, the full audiobook adaptation of Cal Newport's Deep Work. If you're listening right now, it's because you already feel it, the constant fragmentation of your attention, the sense that you're busy all day but rarely accomplish anything that truly matters, the frustration of knowing you're capable of so much more if only you could lock in and stay locked in. This chapter lays the foundation. It's not about quick hacks or apps that block distractions for 30 minutes. It's about understanding a fundamental shift happening in the world right now. A shift that makes the ability to focus intensely on cognitively demanding tasks the single most valuable skill in the modern economy. Cal Newport calls this skill deep work, and he argues that it is becoming increasingly rare and therefore increasingly valuable. Let's start with the core hypothesis that drives the entire book. The deep work hypothesis. The ability to perform deep work is becoming the superpower of the 21st century knowledge worker. Those who cultivate this skill and make it the core of their working life will thrive, no matter how chaotic the world around them becomes. Why is this true? First, we live in what economists call the high-skill, high-value economy. The jobs that pay well and offer security are no longer about routine, repeatable tasks. Those are being automated or outsourced at an accelerating rate. What remains are the non-routine, cognitively demanding activities that require sustained focus, creativity, pattern recognition, and strategic thinking. These are exactly the activities that deep work enables. Second, network tools, smartphones, social media, constant email, Slack, notifications have fragmented attention to an unprecedented degree. Most knowledge workers now operate in a state of shallow work. Quick emails, rapid task switching, endless meetings, reactive scrolling. Shallow work is easy to replicate, easy to interrupt, and produces limited value. Deep work is hard, rare, and produces outsized results. Third, attention itself has become a scarce resource. The people and companies that can capture it win. But the people who can protect and direct their own attention win even bigger. Deep work is the antidote to the attention economy's chaos. Consider the evidence Newport presents. Carl Jung built a stone tower in the woods to escape distractions, so he could think deeply about psychology and produce groundbreaking work. Bill Gates takes Think Weeks twice a year, isolated retreats where he reads and thinks without interruption, emerging with strategies that shaped Microsoft. Carl Jung, Neil Stephenson, J.K. Rowling, and many others have deliberately structured their lives around long stretches of uninterrupted focus. Studies show that task switching reduces IQ performance, equivalent to losing a night of sleep, and that the average knowledge worker is interrupted every 3 to 11 minutes. The pattern is clear. The most impactful contributions in every field come from people who can go deep for extended periods while others bounce on the surface. But here's the hard truth. Deep work is not natural in our current environment. It requires force, deliberate, sometimes uncomfortable effort to protect your attention and train your brain to stay with hard things for long stretches. That's why this book exists. It's not a gentle invitation to focus better. It's a system to force your brain into deep work, even when every modern incentive pulls you toward shallow. Over the next chapters, we'll cover the rules and philosophies that make deep work possible in real life, how to build rituals, environments, and schedules that support its strategies to drain the shallows, so shallow work doesn't crowd out the deep, ways to measure and improve your deep work capacity over time. But it all starts here with the hypothesis: deep work is rare, valuable, and learnable, and mastering it will give you a massive edge. Ask yourself right now, how much of your day is spent in true deep work? Focused, undistracted effort on your most important cognitive tasks. Be honest. For most people, the answer is 1 to 2 hours at best, often less. Now imagine what would happen if you doubled or tripled that. Not by working longer hours, but by replacing shallow, busy work with deep output. That's the promise. Not more time, better time. Time that compounds into mastery, results, reputation, and freedom. This audiobook is your roadmap to make that promise real. In the next chapter, we'll dive into the 4 deep work philosophies: monastic, bimodal, rhythmic, and journalistic, and help you choose or combine the one that fits your life and personality so you can start forcing focus immediately. For now, let this idea settle. Your ability to focus deeply is not fixed. It is a muscle you can train. And in the current economy, the people who train it hardest win. Chapter 2. The 4 deep work philosophies. Choosing or combining. The system that fits your life. You now understand the deep work hypothesis. In the knowledge economy, the ability to focus without distraction on cognitively demanding tasks is becoming the rarest and most valuable skill. Those who master it pull far ahead. Those who don't get stuck in shallow busyness. But knowing this doesn't automatically make deep work happen. You need a philosophy, a deliberate way of organizing your time, energy, and environment to make deep work not just possible, but routine. Cal Newport identifies 4 core deep work philosophies. None is inherently best. The right one, or hybrid, depends on your job, personality, responsibilities, and life stage. The goal is to pick one you can force yourself to follow consistently, because consistency turns deep work from an occasional luxury into your default mode of operating. Let's walk through each philosophy in detail, with real-world examples, pros/cons, and practical ways to implement it even when life pushes back. Philosophy 1. Monastic deep work. The monastic approach cuts out or radically minimizes shallow obligations to maximize uninterrupted deep time. You eliminate distractions almost entirely. Limited email, no social media, no meetings unless absolutely essential, sometimes even isolating yourself physically. Classic examples. Carl Jung retreated to his stone tower in Bollingen to think and write without interruption. Some modern writers and researchers rent remote cabins or go off-grid for months. Tech figures like Neil Stephenson have adopted near-monastic routines to finish long projects. Pros. Maximum depth and output. 6-10+ hours of true deep work per day possible. Eliminates decision fatigue around distractions. Cons. Incompatible with most jobs, families, or collaborative roles. Can feel isolating or unsustainable long-term. How to force it, even partially. Designate monastic blocks, e.g., every Saturday 8 a.m. to 6 p.m. as sacred deep time with phone off, internet blocked, door closed. Use tools like Freedom or Cold Turkey to lock out shallow apps during blocks. Communicate boundaries clearly. I'm unavailable for deep work from X to Y. Emergencies only. If your life allows even 20 to 30% monastic structure, it produces outsized results. Many people hybridize it. full monastic weekends plus protected daily blocks. Philosophy 2. Bimodal deep work. Bimodal divides your time into clearly separated deep and shallow modes. You dedicate distinct blocks, days, weeks, or seasons to pure deep work and other blocks to everything else: emails, meetings, shallow tasks. Examples: professors who go on sabbatical or retreat for a semester to write books. Entrepreneurs who batch shallow work into 1 day a week and protect the rest for strategy/product. Bill Gates Think Weeks, 2 full weeks per year of isolated deep thinking. Pros: allows real depth, multiple consecutive days, without abandoning real-world responsibilities. Creates contrast. Shallow periods feel productive because deep periods produce breakthroughs. Cons: requires planning and discipline to protect the deep blocks. Can create backlog in shallow tasks if not managed. How to force it: schedule deep retreats quarterly or monthly. 3 to 7 days where you go somewhere quiet, Airbnb, library, home office with family support, and focus only on one high cognitive project. Use a bimodal calendar. Color code deep days versus shallow days in advance. Batch all shallow work, emails, admin, into 1 to 2 days per week. Bimodal works well for people with flexible schedules or roles that allow periodic disconnection. Philosophy 3. Rhythmic deep work. The rhythmic philosophy turns deep work into a habit by scheduling it at the same time every day, creating a fixed rhythm that your brain learns to expect and enter easily. Examples: many writers, Stephen King, Haruki Murakami, write at the same time daily, e.g., 8 a.m. to 12 p.m. Professionals who block 9 to 11 a.m. every weekday for deep work before meetings start. Students who protect early morning hours before classes. Pros: builds habit through consistency. Brain enters deep state faster over time. Fits most 9 to 5 jobs or family routines. Low planning overhead. Cons: daily deep time is usually limited 1 to 4 hours. No multi-day stretches. Vulnerable to interruptions if not fiercely protected. How to force it: pick a fixed daily window, e.g., first 90 to 120 minutes after waking or 2 to 3 hours post-lunch. Use a recurring calendar event titled Deep Work Block. No exceptions. Start with 60 minutes and build up. Use a timer and ritual, coffee, specific playlist, closed door to cue entry. End with a shutdown ritual. Review what you accomplished. Plan tomorrow's deep task to exit cleanly. Rhythmic is the most accessible for most people. It's how many high performers quietly get ahead. Philosophy 4. Journalistic deep work. The journalistic approach fits deep work into any free slot. Like a reporter who can drop into focus mode instantly when a story breaks. You cultivate the ability to switch into deep work quickly whenever opportunity arises. Examples: journalists who write major pieces in coffee shops between interviews. Consultants who dive into strategy during travel downtime. Entrepreneurs who grab 90-minute blocks between meetings. Pros: maximum flexibility, works around unpredictable schedules, builds focus muscle for rapid entry. Cons: hardest to master, requires strong willpower and practice. Risk of never getting enough consecutive time for truly deep output. How to force it: train with short daily sessions, 20 to 30 minutes, to practice rapid entry. Use a 5-minute ritual, close tabs, deep breaths, 1-sentence goal. Keep a deep work kit ready, headphones, notebook, specific app, so you can drop in anywhere. Track focus switches. Aim to increase how quickly you reach deep state. Target under 10 minutes. Most people use journalistic as a supplement to one of the other philosophies. Choosing your philosophy or hybrid. Your first action. There is no right one. The best is the one you can actually force yourself to follow consistently. Ask: how much control do I have over my schedule? How much daily deep time do I realistically need for my goals? What's my tolerance for isolation versus flexibility? Common hybrids. Rhythmic base, daily 90 to 120 minutes, plus bimodal retreats, quarterly multi-day. Monastic weekends plus rhythmic weekdays, journalistic for parents/freelancers, plus rhythmic core blocks. Your assignment for today: pick one primary philosophy or hybrid that feels most doable. Block your first deep work session tomorrow using the rules of that philosophy. Protect it ruthlessly. No exceptions for the first week. This is where theory becomes practice. You're not just understanding deep work anymore. You're forcing it into your calendar. In the next chapter, we'll cover the specific rituals, environments, and scheduling tactics that make whichever philosophy you choose actually stick, even when life gets chaotic. For now, decide, which philosophy will you force yourself to follow? Your brain is waiting for the structure. Get one. Chapter 3. Work deeply. Building rituals, environments, and rules that make focus automatic. You've grasped the deep work hypothesis and chosen, or experimenting with, one of the 4 philosophies to structure your time. That's the strategy level. Now we move to execution, the daily, hourly, minute-by-minute reality of actually doing deep work instead of just planning it. Most people fail here. They set aside time, close the door, open their laptop, and then spend the next hour checking email, scrolling, or warming up with easy tasks. The brain prefers shallow work because it's comfortable, low effort, and gives quick dopamine hits. Deep work is hard. It requires discomfort. That's why you must force your brain into it with deliberate systems, rituals, environments, rules, and accountability mechanisms that make focus the path of least resistance. This chapter covers the practical toolkit Newport outlines to make deep work automatic, or as close to automatic as possible in a distracted world. We'll break it down into 4 key areas: rituals, location/environment, scheduling/rules, and draining the shallows. 1. Rituals, turning deep work into a triggered habit. Rituals are the most powerful way to bypass motivation and willpower. They create a cue routine reward loop that tells your brain, this is deep work time. Enter focus mode now. Core elements of a strong, deep work ritual. Location consistency, same desk, same chair, same room every time, or a dedicated deep work spot like a library cubicle. Starting sequence, a fixed 3 to 5 minute routine to begin, e.g., make coffee, open specific app, play white noise, write 1-sentence goal on sticky note. Ending ritual, a shutdown sequence to exit cleanly, review what you accomplished, note next deep task, close laptop, short walk. Duration and depth. Decide in advance how long the session will be. 90 minutes is common. Some go 4 hours with breaks. Support tools, noise-canceling headphones, specific playlist, instrumental only, website blockers, freedom, focus at will, do not disturb mode. Examples from high performers. A writer starts every session by lighting a specific candle. The smell cues focused that a programmer uses the same instrumental album on loop for coding blocks. Newport himself uses a fixed morning routine. Coffee, short walk, then 3 to 4 hour deep blocks starting at 8 a.m. How to force your ritual. Start small. 60-minute block with a 3-step ritual, e.g., close tabs, set timer, state goal allowed. Then do it the same way every single time for 21 to 30 days to wire it in. If you miss a day, restart the streak. Treat it like a chain you refuse to break. 2. Location and environment. Make distraction physically difficult. Your surroundings either support or sabotage focus. Design them to favor depth. Key principles. Isolation, separate physical space, home office, co-working pod, library, where shallow work isn't allowed. Minimalism. Remove everything not needed for the task, extra monitors off, phone in another room, no visible notifications. Cues for depth. Use environmental triggers, specific lighting, chair, desk setup, that only appear during deep work. Noise management. White noise, rain sounds, or silence. Experiment to find what lets you go deepest. Accountability. Work in public sometimes. Coffee shop, library, to leverage social pressure against distraction. Real-world hacks. Use a focus cabin, even a cheap tent in the backyard or a parked car. Create a deep work uniform, specific hoodie or hat, worn only during sessions. Turn phone to airplane mode and place it face down in a drawer. Make checking it inconvenient. 3. Scheduling and rules. Protect the block ruthlessly. Deep work dies without strong boundaries. Set ironclad rules. Time block your day, calendar, every hour, including deep blocks, shallow tasks, breaks. Treat deep blocks as non-negotiable appointments. Fix schedule productivity. Decide when work ends each day, e.g., 5:30 p.m., then work backward to fit everything. This forces efficiency. 4 DX rules. From the 4 disciplines of execution, focus on wildly important goals. WIGs, only 1 to 2 deep work goals per quarter. Act on lead measures, hours in deep work, not just output. Keep a compelling scoreboard. Track deep hours daily. Create cadence of accountability. Weekly review with partner or journal. Downtime rule. Schedule deliberate rest, walks, hobbies, sleep to recharge attention capacity. 4. Draining the shallows. Shrink shallow work to make room for depth. Shallow work crowds out deep work unless you actively push it back. Strategies. Quantify shallow. Track how many hours you spend on email/meetings/social per day. Most people are shocked. Schedule shallow in batches. E.g., check email only at 11 a.m., 3 p.m., 6 p.m. Process inbox 0 in 30-minute blocks. Finish your work by 5:30. Adopt Newport's fixed schedule approach. Work ends at a set time, forcing shallow tasks to compress. Become hard to reach. Use autoresponders. I check email twice daily. Set office hours for meetings. Say no to low-value requests. Embrace boredom. Train your brain to tolerate downtime without reaching for phone. This rebuilds attention span. Your Chapter 3 action plan. Start forcing deep work today. Design your personal deep work ritual. 3 to 5 steps. Fix time/place. Block your first 90-minute deep session tomorrow. Protect it like a surgery appointment. Choose one environment. Tweak. Phone in another room. Noise-canceling headphones. Dedicated desk. Set one shallow draining rule, e.g., email only 3 times/day. Track your first week. Hours in deep work versus shallow. Aim to increase deep by 30 to 60 minutes per day. Deep work isn't about feeling inspired. It's about creating conditions where inspiration has no choice but to show up. You now have the tools to force those conditions. Chapter 4. Embrace boredom. Rebuilding your brain's attention muscle in a distracted world. You've now chosen your deep work philosophy and started building the external systems, rituals, environments, schedules, and rules to protect your focus blocks. That's the structure. But even with perfect conditions, most people still struggle to stay deep for more than 20 to 40 minutes before their mind wanders. They reach for the phone, or they just check one quick thing. This happens because modern life has trained your brain to crave constant novelty and stimulation. Every ping, scroll, like, and notification delivers a micro hit of dopamine, the brain's reward chemical. Over years of this conditioning, your attention span has atrophied. You've become addicted to shallow switching and deep work, which requires sustained, uncomfortable effort with delayed reward. Feels almost painful by comparison. The solution isn't more willpower. It's rebuilding your brain's capacity to tolerate and even enjoy the absence of novelty. Newport calls this embracing boredom. The ability to sit with a hard task without escaping to distractions is the foundation of deep work. If you can't be bored productively, you can't go deep consistently. This chapter is about retraining your attention muscle through deliberate practice of boredom tolerance, reducing the grip of shallow stimuli, and gradually extending your focus endurance. These are not feel-good suggestions. They're uncomfortable, repetitive drills designed to rewire your brain's reward system so deep work becomes easier and more rewarding over time. Why embracing boredom is essential. Attention is a finite resource that strengthens or weakens with use, just like a muscle. Decades of research, from Gloria Mark's interruption studies to the attention residue effect, show that frequent task switching and digital stimulation create a cycle where your brain expects constant input. IT struggles with sustained effort. IT defaults to shallow when the deep task gets hard. People who can tolerate boredom sit with a problem without escaping. outperform others dramatically in cognitive demanding fields. They finish books, write code, solve complex problems, and produce high-value work while others flit between tabs. The goal: train your brain to produce its own dopamine from progress and mastery instead of external pings. Step 1. Schedule internet and shallow stimuli. Make them scarce. Constant connectivity keeps your brain in reactive mode. Force scarcity to rebuild tolerance. Rules to implement. Fixed internet hours. Decide in advance where you'll go online each day, e.g., 30 minutes morning for email/news, 30 minutes evening for personal stuff. Outside those windows, no internet, even if you're bored. Phone is tool, not toy. Keep it in another room during deep blocks. Use grayscale mode, reduces dopamine pull. Delete social apps or bury them in folders. Productive meditation. During low stimulation moments, walking, commuting, waiting, force your mind to stay on one hard problem instead of reaching for phone. If it wanders, gently return it. This builds the focus muscle without needing a desk. How to force it? Start with 1 to 2 hours per day of internet blackout. Use freedom or a simple timer. When boredom hits, sit with it for 5 to 10 minutes before allowing any escape. Track how long you can endure. Aim to increase daily. Reward endurance. After a successful boredom session, allow a small controlled treat, coffee, short walk, but never reward with scrolling. Step 2. Practice productive discomfort. Extend focus through resistance. Deep work gets hard around 20 to 60 minutes in. That's when the brain wants novelty. Train yourself to push through. Techniques. Pomodoro with teeth. Start with 25-minute focus sprints, but when the timer ends, force one more 5 to 10-minute extension before break. Gradually increase base time to 50 to 90 minutes. Attention training drills. Spend 10 minutes daily on a boring but useful task, e.g., reading dense nonfiction without highlights, solving hard math problems, memorizing facts without any distractions. When mind wanders, note it and return. No self-criticism. Scheduled daydreaming. Allow 10 to 15 minutes per day to let your mind wander freely. No phone. This reduces the brain's craving for novelty during deep blocks. Roosevelt dashes. Theodore Roosevelt's technique. Set a short, intense burst, e.g., finish this chapter in 30 minutes, and go all out. Builds tolerance for discomfort. Track progress. Use a simple notebook or app to log daily max focus time without distraction. Aim for plus 5 to 10 minutes per week. Step 3. Replace shallow rewards with deep rewards. Your brain has been conditioned to seek quick hits. Recondition it to find satisfaction in depth. After deep sessions, celebrate with analog rewards. Short walk, stretch, favorite tea. Nothing digital. Keep a deep work wins log. Write one sentence after each session about what you accomplished. Review weekly to see compounding progress. Tie deep work to identity. I'm the kind of person who goes deep while others scroll. Repeat during boredom moments. Reduce overall stimulation. Limit news/social to 30 minutes/day total. Less input equals higher tolerance for sustained output. Step 4. Measure and iterate. Make boredom tolerance a skill you track. Weekly review. How many deep hours? Longest uninterrupted focus? How often did boredom win? Adjust. If focus stalls at 45 minutes, add more productive meditation. If phone is the killer, lock it away. Accountability. Share your deep work log with a friend or post anonymously online for social pressure. Real example. A software engineer struggled with 20-minute focus max. He implemented daily 10-minute boredom drills, staring at code without touching keyboard, blacked out internet outside 2 30-minute windows, and forced 5-minute extensions on every Pomodoro. Within 8 weeks, he hit 90-minute deep blocks consistently, doubled his output, and landed a promotion. Your Chapter 4 assignment. Start rebuilding today. Pick one boredom drill, productive meditation, or attention training, and do it for 10 minutes daily this week. Set fixed internet hours. Enforce them strictly. During your next deep block, when the urge to escape hits, sit with it for 5 extra minutes before allowing any break. Log your max focus time daily. Aim to increase by 5 minutes this week. 8 weeks end. Review. What resisted most? Adjust one rule for next week. Embracing boredom isn't fun, it's necessary. Every minute you sit with discomfort instead of escaping, you're rebuilding the attention muscle that separates average from exceptional. Chapter 5. Drain the shallows. Compress shallow obligations to protect deep work time. You've now rebuilt the internal foundation, chosen a deep work philosophy, established rituals and environments, and started training your brain to tolerate boredom and sustain focus. These steps make deep work possible. But possibility isn't enough. Deep work must become the majority of your productive hours, not a rare exception squeezed between endless shallow tasks. Most knowledge workers spend 60 to 80% of their day in shallow work. Emails, meetings, quick messages, admin, browsing, status updates. Shallow work feels productive because it's visible and urgent, but it produces limited value. Deep work, the cognitively demanding, creative, strategic effort, is what creates breakthroughs, mastery, and career leverage. The hard truth is that shallow work crowds out deep work unless you actively push it back. This chapter is about draining the shallows, systematically reducing the time and energy shallow obligations consume so deep work can claim the majority of your best hours. Newport provides concrete, sometimes ruthless tactics to compress shallow work without losing effectiveness. These aren't gentle optimizations. They require discipline, saying no, and accepting short-term discomfort for long-term gain. 1. Quantify the shallows. Make the invisible visible. You can't shrink what you don't measure. Most people dramatically underestimate how much time shallow work consumes. How to force quantification. Track every hour for 1 to 2 weeks using a simple log. Note start/end time and categorize each block as deep, shallow, or downtime. Use Newport's categories. Deep, cognitively demanding, high value, distraction-free, shallow, logistical, low cognitive, easily replicated, email, meetings, admin. Downtime, rest, breaks, non-work. Calculate percentages at week's end. Typical results, 70 to 80% shallow, 10 to 20% deep, rest downtime. Set a target ratio. Aim for 4+ hours deep per day, minimum for serious knowledge work, which means shallow must drop below 50%. This audit often shocks people. It reveals how much time is lost to reactive busyness. 2. Schedule every minute. Fixed schedule productivity. The most powerful shallow draining tool. Decide when your workday ends, e.g., 5:30 p.m., then work backward to fit everything important into the available time. This forces shallow tasks to compress or disappear. How to implement. Set a hard stop time for work. Protect evenings/family/health. Block your calendar ruthlessly. Deep work first. Morning when energy is highest. Then necessary shallow. Then fill gaps. Use time blocking. Assign every hour a specific task. No open slots for catch-up. When shallow tasks overflow, negotiate deadlines, delegate, or eliminate. Never extend the day. Newport's personal rule. Finish by 5:30 p.m., no exceptions. This constraint creates urgency that shallow work hates. It forces efficiency. 3. Become hard to reach. Reduce the cost of interruptions. Shallow work thrives on constant accessibility. Make yourself scarce. Tactics. Email office hours. Check/process email only 2 to 3 times per day, e.g., 11 a.m., 3 p.m., 6 p.m. Use autoresponder. I check email at 11 a.m. and 4 p.m. For urgent matters, call/text. Meeting filters. Require agendas and clear purpose for every meeting. Decline or shorten anything without them. No meeting days. Designate 1 to 2 days per week as deep only. No meetings allowed. Batch communication. Use tools like Loom for async video updates instead of live calls. Consolidate questions into one message. Say no gracefully. Use templates. I'd love to help, but my plate is full with high-priority, deep projects until date. Can we revisit then? These boundaries feel rude at first, but they protect your most valuable asset, attention. 4. Finish your work by 5:30, the shutdown ritual. To drain shallows, you must enforce a hard end to the workday. This prevents shallow tasks from bleeding into evenings and trains your brain to compress. Shutdown ritual. Do every day at end of work. Review calendar and task list. Confirm nothing critical slipped. Move unfinished tasks to tomorrow's plan. Scan inbox quickly. Archive or flag urgent only. Close all tabs/apps. Say aloud, work is done for today. I will return tomorrow ready to go deep. Physically leave the workspace. This ritual reduces attention residue, lingering thoughts about unfinished shallow tasks, and allows true rest, which is essential for deep work capacity the next day. 5. Quantify and eliminate low-value shallow work. Not all shallow work is equal. Ruthlessly cut the lowest value. Audit meetings. Cancel recurring ones without clear ROI. Email. Use filters, templates, canned responses. Aim for inbox 0 only during scheduled blocks. Social/internal chat. Mute notifications. Respond in batches. Admin. Batch or delegate. Use VA $4.5. 10/HR tasks if possible. Set shallow quotas. E.g., no more than 90 minutes total email/meetings per day. Your Chapter 5 action plan. Start draining today. Run a 3-day shallow work audit. Log every hour and calculate percentages. Set a hard work day in time, e.g., 5:30 p.m., and block tomorrow's calendar backward. Implement one accessibility boundary, e.g., email office hours autoresponder. Create and perform your shutdown ritual tonight. Identify one recurring shallow task to eliminate or batch this week. Target. Reduce shallow time by 30 to 60 minutes per day this week. Redirect that time to deep work. Draining the shallows isn't comfortable. People will push back, tasks will feel urgent, guilt may arise. But shallow work is the enemy of depth. Every minute you reclaim is a minute you can invest in high-value output that compounds into real results, reputation, and freedom. Chapter 6. Make grand gestures. The power of radical commitment to deep work. You've now drained the shallows, rebuilt your attention muscle by embracing boredom, and protected your deep work time with rituals, environments, and boundaries. Your calendar has breathing room for depth. Your brain is starting to tolerate sustained focus without constant escape. But even with all that structure, most people still underperform on deep work. Not because they lack time, but because they lack seriousness. Deep work is hard. It demands cognitive strain, discomfort, and delayed gratification. The brain naturally resists. To overcome that resistance consistently, to reach the levels of output that separate good from exceptional, you need to treat deep work with the gravity it deserves. You need grand gestures, bold, sometimes extreme commitments that signal to yourself and others that this matters more than the default habits pulling you away. Newport calls these grand gestures deliberate, visible acts of radical commitment that raise the stakes and make shallow alternatives feel unacceptable. This chapter explores why grand gestures work, real examples from history and modern life, and practical ways to force them into your own routine so deep work becomes non-negotiable. Why grand gestures work. The brain responds powerfully to sunk costs and public identity. When you invest heavily, time, money, reputation, comfort, into something, you're far more likely to follow through. Not because the task is easy, but because abandoning it would feel like wasting the investment or contradicting who you now are publicly. Grand gestures create psychological pressure. I've spent too much to quit now. Social accountability. Others know you're serious. Environmental reinforcement. The setup itself reminds you of the commitment. Momentum shift. Once you paid a high price, shallow distractions feel trivial by comparison. These aren't subtle tweaks. They are disproportionate actions that force your behavior to match your ambitions. Examples of grand gestures in action. J.K. Rowling checked into the Balmoral Hotel in Edinburgh to finish Harry Potter and the Deathly Hallows. She paid for a luxury suite for days, removed all distractions, and wrote in isolation until the book was done. The high cost and public setting made quitting impossible. Bill Gates continues his think weeks. 2 full weeks per year isolated in a cabin with no internet, reading stacks of papers and thinking deeply about Microsoft's future. The ritual has been consistent for decades. Carl Jung built a literal stone tower in the woods, a physical grand gesture of isolation for deep thinking and writing. Modern example: a software engineer wanting to master machine learning quit his job for 6 months, moved to a low-cost location, and spent 10 to 12 hours daily coding and studying with no social media. The financial and lifestyle sacrifice made deep focus the only option. He emerged with a portfolio that landed a FANG job, Newport's own gesture. He once rented a remote cabin for weeks to finish a book manuscript, deliberately choosing a place with no cell service or reliable internet. These aren't everyday habits. They are bold moves that raise the cost of failure so high that the brain has no choice but to cooperate. How to force grand gestures in your life. You don't need to quit your job or build a tower. Start with gestures that are radical for your current life, then scale up. Financial commitment: pay for a dedicated co-working space or private office, even 1 day a week. The sunk cost makes you use it. Book an expensive hotel room or Airbnb for a weekend deep retreat. The price tag forces you to produce. Invest in premium tools, high-end noise-canceling headphones, standing desk-specific software, and commit to using them only for deep work. Time and lifestyle sacrifice: declare a deep work sabbatical. Take vacation days or unpaid leave for 3 to 7 days of pure focus on one project. Eliminate all non-essential commitments for a month. No side projects, social events, TV. Create artificial scarcity of time. Go monastic mode for a set period. No social media. Limited email. Simple meals to free mental energy. Public declaration and accountability: announce your deep work goal publicly. Post on LinkedIn/X. Tell colleagues/family. I'm blocking 4 hours daily for deep work on project. Hold me accountable. Hire a coach or join a mastermind where you report weekly deep hours/output. Create a visible scoreboard, wall chart, app, shared doc, tracking deep work hours. Shame of public failure drives action. Environmental grand gestures: rent a cabin, library study room, or even a cheap motel for a day of deep work. Build a focus fortress at home. Dedicated room with locked door, no phone charger inside. Minimal furniture. Travel to a new city for 2 to 3 days solely to work deeply. Change of scenery plus isolation equals powerful combo. How to choose and start your first grand gesture. Ask: what's the biggest obstacle to consistent deep work right now? Distractions, motivation, environment, time fragmentation. What would feel extreme but doable to overcome it? What cost, money, comfort, reputation would make quitting feel worse than pushing through? Start small but bold. This week, book a hotel room or Airbnb for 1 full Saturday of deep work. Pay in advance. Next month, declare a 30-day deep work challenge publicly. Track hours daily and share progress. Quarter goal: schedule a 3 to 5 day deep retreat. Use vacation days or weekends. Your assignment: identify 1 grand gesture you can commit to in the next 14 days. Execute it. Pay the money. Make the announcement. Book the space. After the gesture, reflect. How much deeper/more productive were you? What resistance showed up? How can you make the next one bigger? Grand gestures aren't about perfection. They're about raising the stakes so your brain has no honorable way out except to go deep. Chapter 7. Collaborate deeply. How to work with others without sacrificing your focus. You've now mastered the internal and structural sides of deep work. You understand why it matters. You've chosen a philosophy that fits your life, built rituals and environments to support it, trained your brain to tolerate boredom and sustain attention, drained the shallows to free up hours, and raised the stakes with grand gestures to make commitment non-negotiable. If you've been forcing these changes consistently, you should already be experiencing longer, higher quality focus blocks and noticeably better output. But here's where most people hit a wall: collaboration. Almost every knowledge worker must interact with others, colleagues, clients, teams, managers, partners. Meetings, feedback loops, brainstorming sessions, group projects, and casual check-ins are unavoidable in most roles. The danger is that these interactions, even when necessary, can easily erode the deep work you fought so hard to protect. A single poorly timed meeting or Slack thread can fragment your attention for hours, thanks to attention residue, turning a productive morning into shallow busyness. This chapter is about learning to collaborate deeply, to maintain high-value interaction with others while fiercely guarding your ability to do uninterrupted, cognitively demanding work. Cal Newport argues that it's possible to be both collaborative and deeply focused, but only if you approach teamwork with the same intentionality you bring to solitary deep work. The goal is not to eliminate collaboration. That's unrealistic for most people, but to make it serve depth instead of destroy it. We'll cover 4 core principles and dozens of specific tactics to force collaborative work into a structure that amplifies, rather than dilutes, your deep output. Principle 1. Make collaboration rare, purposeful, and high leverage. Shallow collaboration, casual chats, status updates, reactive messaging, is the biggest thief of deep time. Force it to be rare and valuable. Tactics to implement. Replace reactive chat with scheduled syncs. Use daily/weekly stand-ups or 15-minute check-ins instead of constant Slack/Teams pings. Set team norms. Use async updates unless it requires real-time discussion. Require agendas with clear outcomes. No agenda equals no meeting. Every invite must include purpose, desired outcome, time-box topics. Decline or shorten anything vague. Use process minutes. For recurring meetings, spend the first 2 minutes confirming. What decisions must we make today? What info do we need? This kills drift. Batch collaboration time. Designate 1 to 2 days per week as collaboration days, meetings, calls, feedback sessions, and protect the rest as deep only. Adopt no meeting Wednesdays or similar. Many high-output teams block entire days for individual focus. Force this in your organization if possible. Principle 2. Use asynchronous communication as the default. Real-time interaction is expensive. It forces context switching and interrupts deep blocks. Shift as much as possible to async. Practical shifts. Replace meetings with async Loom videos. Send 3 to 5 minute recorded updates instead of live calls. Recipients watch at their convenience. Use shared docs for feedback. Google Docs, Notion, or Figma comments allow thoughtful, non-interruptive input instead of live brainstorming. Email a structured async tool. Use subject line prefixes, action required, FYI, decision needed, and clear next steps. Respond in batches. Project management tools. Tools like Linear, Asana, or ClickUp replace endless quick questions with visible status updates. Set response expectations. Add signature line. I check messages at 11 a.m. and 4 p.m. For urgent matters, call. These changes feel slow at first. People are used to instant replies, but they reclaim hours of fragmented attention. Principle 3. Protect deep work during collaborative projects. Even in team environments, you can carve out deep space. Tactics. Negotiate focus blocks with your team. Be transparent. I do my best strategic work in uninterrupted 90 to 120-minute blocks. I'll be offline from 9 to 11 a.m. daily to produce high-quality output for the team. Use deep work proxies. For group projects, volunteer for the parts that require deep thinking, research, writing, architecture, and delegate shallow coordination. Create deep work sprints. For team projects, propose focused 1 to 2 week sprints where the team minimizes meetings and maximizes individual output, followed by integration sessions. Lead by example. When you produce noticeably better work during protected deep blocks, others notice. Use that credibility to advocate for more focus time across the team. Principle 4. Make collaboration itself deep. Some collaboration benefits from depth. Use it to amplify results. Deep work retreats. For critical projects, organize 1 to 2 day off-site sessions where the team works in parallel silence, like a focused sprint, with short check-ins only. Whiteboard sessions with rules. Limit brainstorming to 45 to 60 minutes, require pre-work. Everyone brings ideas, and follow with individual deep processing time. Pair deep work for knowledge tasks, writing, coding, strategy. Pair with someone for 90-minute focus sessions where both work silently side by side. Then debrief. Briefly, real-world examples and hybrid approaches. A product manager at a tech company blocked 9 to 12 p.m. daily for deep strategy work and moved all meetings to afternoons. She informed her team, "Mornings are sacred for deep thinking. I'll be 3 times more valuable to you if I protect them." A consulting firm adopted no meeting Fridays. The entire company focused on individual deep work 1 day per week. Output quality rose dramatically. Remote teams use deep work hours, Slack status, and team-wide calendar blocks to signal unavailability without explanation. Your Chapter 7 action plan. Start collaborating deeply this week. Audit your last week's meetings and communication. How much was truly necessary? Identify 1 to 2 to eliminate or make async. Implement 1 async replacement, e.g., Loom instead of a recurring call. Set 1 collaboration boundary, e.g., no meetings before noon or email office hours. Propose 1 team-level change, no meeting day, agenda requirement. Even if small, schedule your next deep collaborative session. Pair work or retreat style block. Track. How many deep hours did you gain this week from these changes? Collaboration doesn't have to kill depth. It can enhance it when done with the same seriousness you bring to solitary focus. Force these changes. Protect your depth. Let others benefit from the higher quality work you produce. Chapter 8. The Deep Life. Making deep work sustainable, meaningful, and the center of a rich existence. You've reached the final chapter. If you've been forcing yourself through the previous ones, choosing your philosophy, building rituals, embracing boredom, draining shallows, raising stakes with grand gestures, and learning to collaborate without losing depth, then something has already shifted. You're no longer just trying to focus better. You're systematically redesigning how you work, how you think, and increasingly, how you live. But deep work is not an end in itself. It's a means to something far more important, a life of meaning, contribution, mastery, and freedom. Cal Newport closes deep work by reminding us that the ultimate goal is not to maximize productivity for its own sake, but to use deep work as the engine of a deep life. One where your time and attention are invested in pursuits that matter, where you produce work that has lasting impact, and where you protect the space to reflect, connect, and grow as a human being. This chapter is about integration and longevity. How do you make deep work sustainable over years and decades? How do you avoid burnout while pushing your capacity? How do you ensure deep work serves your values instead of becoming another form of busyness? And how do you expand it from a work skill into a way of being that touches every part of your existence? We'll cover 4 pillars of the deep life: sustainability, meaning, capacity expansion, and balance. Pillar 1, sustainability, making deep work a lifelong practice without burning out. Deep work is demanding. It requires high cognitive energy, emotional resilience, and consistent discipline. To sustain it long-term, you must treat your attention and energy like finite resources that need regular renewal. Key practices: protect downtime rigorously. Schedule genuine rest, walks in nature, hobbies with no productivity goal, sleep, unstructured time. Newport emphasizes that attention is restored through deliberate rest, not passive scrolling, but active, engaging non-work activities, reading fiction, playing music, exercising, conversation. Adopt seasonal rhythms, alternate intense deep periods with lighter maintenance phases. For example, 3 months of heavy deep work on a major project, followed by 1 month of shallower consolidation and recovery. Monitor energy, not just hours. Track how you feel after deep sessions. If focus quality drops, reduce volume or increase recovery. Use a simple 1 to 10 energy scale post-session. Build physical support. Sleep 7 to 9 hours. Eat nutrient-dense food. Move daily, even 20-minute walks. Cognitive performance is biological. Neglect the body and depth suffers. Annual deep work retreat. Make a grand gesture once per year. 1 to 2 weeks of near monastic deep work on your highest leverage goal. Use it to reflect, plan, and reset. Burnout warning signs. Irritability during shallow tasks. Dread of deep sessions. Reduced output despite same hours. When they appear, force a 1-week shallow-only reset. No deep work, only rest and light activity. Then ease back in. Pillar 2. Meaning. Align deep work with values and contribution. Deep work without purpose becomes empty optimization. The most fulfilled deep workers tie their focus to something larger. Strategies. Define your why. Write a 1-page vision. What impact do I want my deep work to have in 5 to 10 years? Build a company, write books that change minds, master a craft, support family through financial independence, advance knowledge in your field. Quarterly deep work review. Every 3 months, ask, are my deep hours advancing my vision? Reallocate time, if not. Craft plus contribution balance. Dedicate some deep blocks to pure mastery, skill building, and others to contribution, creating value for others, writing articles, mentoring, open source code, client breakthroughs. Public accountability to values. Share your deep work goals in ways that tie to meaning, blog posts, talks, mentorship. This reinforces purpose and creates external pressure to stay aligned. Pillar 3. Capacity expansion. Continuously raising your deep work ceiling. Your current deep work limit, hours per day, depth of immersion, is not fixed. It can grow dramatically with deliberate training. Long-term expansion tactics. Progressive overload. Just like weight training, increase weekly deep hours gradually, e.g., plus 30 to 60 minutes per week until you plateau, then hold and recover. Depth rituals. Experiment with longer blocks, 3 to 4 hours. Once 2-hour sessions feel comfortable. Use 20-minute breaks with movement to extend. Skill stacking. Use deep work to learn meta skills that make future deep work easier. Speed reading, touch typing, structured note-taking, memory techniques. Seasonal supercharges. Twice a year, do a 2 to 4 week deep immersion where you push to 6 to 8 hours daily on one project to stretch capacity. Track lifetime deep hours. Keep a running total, like a deep work odometer. Seeing 1,000, 5,000, 10,000 hours accumulated creates powerful motivation. Pillar 4. Balance. Integrating deep work into a rich human life. Deep work should enhance life, not consume it. Protect the non-work dimensions that make life worth living. Rules. Fixed schedule life. Hard stop at workday end. Use evenings for relationships, hobbies, family, reflection. Sabbath principle. 1 full day per week, or at least half day. With no work, no email, no planning, no deep blocks. Use it for rest, play, worship, connection. Social deep work. Spend focused time with people you care about, undistracted conversations, shared hobbies. Values audit quarterly. Rate life areas health, relationships, growth, contribution, enjoyment, 1 to 10. If any drop below 7, adjust deep work volume or timing. Your final assignment. Build your deep life. Write your 1-page deep life vision. Impact you want deep work to create in 5 to 10 years. Schedule your first annual deep retreat. Even 2 to 3 days for the next 3 to 6 months. Set a lifetime deep work goal, e.g., 5,000 hours in 5 years, and start tracking cumulative hours. Implement one sustainability ritual, fixed end time plus shutdown, weekly Sabbath, energy tracking. Commit to quarterly reviews, deep hours, energy, life balance, alignment with vision. You've now seen the full system. Deep work is not a productivity hack. It's a philosophy for living with intention in a distracted age. It requires force, daily, weekly, yearly force. But the reward is a life where your time is spent on things that matter, where you produce work you're proud of, and where you have the freedom and clarity to enjoy the rest of your existence. You started this audiobook wanting to force your brain to focus. You end it realizing the real goal, to force your life toward depth, meaning, and impact. The tools are in your hands. The choice is yours. Go deep. Stay deep. Live deeply. Thank you for committing to this journey. Your future output and your future self will thank you.